Okay, I have no idea how to start a video like this, but today I'm going to be telling my life story. Now, I know I'm not famous, I'm not an influencer, I am simply an 18-year-old who just medically withdrew from college. But I have been doing a lot of thinking lately and wondering what do I want to do with my life, and I do believe that I just want to help people. That is all I want to do. So I will be telling my story in hopes that it will help at least one person because I know what it feels like to feel completely alone, and I never want anyone else to feel that way. I'm going to be talking about suicide, addiction, sexual abuse, child sexual abuse, mental health, a lot of stuff related to that. And I know a lot of people will be making fun of me for this, and I know it is a lot of taboo topics, but honestly, I just don't believe that mental health is something that should be made fun of. I think we should all be open about how we are feeling because it will help someone. Okay, I am now going to get started. So I was born July 23rd, 2007 to my mom and my biological father. I won't be saying his name because I really do not want to get sued, but my biological father was not very present in my life up until I guess I was around 5 years old. My childhood is a little blurry for me sometimes. Now, my biological father came back into my life and unfortunately had to have custody of me, shared custody. And whenever I was at his house, he would sexually abuse me. I'm sorry, it is very hard for me to actually talk about. My mom put me in therapy when I was 7 because I was a very anxious kid. I was very high strung, and you could tell something was going on with me. Every adult in my life would always ask me, are you okay? Is anyone touching you? Is anything happening at your biological father's house? But a very hard concept for a lot of people to grasp is that when you are a kid going through CSA, it is very hard to understand that it is wrong. He would always threaten me and say, if you tell your mom about whatever we do at my house, you're never going to see me again. And that made me sad because it was my dad. So I lived in fear for 7 years of my life. From age 5 to around age 10, my biological father did have overnight custody of me. When I was with him, he always had drugs. There were always drug dealers, prostitutes, all of those kinds of people were always at our house. I had been going to therapy consistently, and I was diagnosed with anxiety and depression below the age of 10. I would also like to add that my biological father never had a stable place to live. We would hop from trailer to trailer. We lived on a boat at one point, in his friend's living room, a lot of different very bad environments. I don't want to fully get into that part of my life because it is very personal and still very hard to talk about, but I will share that information. From ages 10 to 12, he did not have overnight custody of me, and this is when things got very bad. On December 7th, 2019, my biological father threatened to murder me, and I called my mom. Him and I were on the way to the police station to do the custody exchange, and he swerved our car, told me he was going to kill me if I didn't get off my phone. He had to stop at a grocery store to grab something, and that is when I contacted the police station, and when I got to the police station, I ran inside. That was the last time I ever saw my biological father. After that, he moved to Europe. For 2 years, I lived in silence about what had happened to me, until one day when I was 14, I completely broke down and I told my mom everything. I want to add that all of middle school, I struggled with my confidence, and I was bullied very hard, and I felt disgusting. I felt like it was all my fault that all of these things had happened to me growing up, and I didn't tell anyone. When I was 14 and I told my mom what had happened, we went to the county police department and filed a report against my biological father. I'm going to fast forward to when I was 16. It was a week before the actual trial, and I came home from school on April 11th of 2024 and found out that my biological father had hung himself. This day changed the entire trajectory of my life. At this point, I had been diagnosed with PTSD, anxiety, and depression. I struggled to cope with the fact that I was not going to get justice for what happened to me, and I began to self-medicate. My grades dropped drastically. My GPA went from a 4.2 to a 3.7. I could not go to class for the last month of my junior year. I was just not able to. And then, summer after junior year, I worked at a summer camp. While I was at that summer camp, I went into what I now know was a manic episode, but then I just thought I was going crazy. I lasted 2 weeks at the summer camp until I quit because I was having really big issues with suicidal ideation. I came home and I was put in an IOP, an intensive outpatient program for trauma. And every single day from age 16 to age 18, I thought I would be better off dead. I was making horrible decisions left and right. I was betraying those that were closest to me. I was very impulsive, and I did not believe I would make it to C18. I'm going to now fast forward all through senior year and get to my freshman year of college. I would also like to add that in February of my senior year, I was diagnosed with borderline personality disorder, and I was put in another IOP. I was in a state of mania on and off for around 7 months. I was doing well summer before college, but then I got there and everything went downhill. I unfortunately chose to go to a place that did not suit me and that I just wasn't fit for. So I was making friends at college and I was trying really hard to enjoy my time. But every day there was just this feeling of dread and I hated myself. I hated myself so much. And I got to the point where on September 12th, I tried to unalive myself. After this, I was doing very bad. I didn't tell anyone really that I had done that. And I just went silent. I made a lot of enemies and was struggling very, very, very badly. I lost the love for my major, which I had been set on since I was 12 years old, and I began to use substances every single day to ignore how I was feeling. Okay, please bear with me. This is getting very hard to talk about. At this point in my life, I felt like a burden to everyone. I ended up going through a breakup that made me view myself a lot differently. I was fully convinced that no one would ever actually care about me in a platonic or romantic way. And 2 days after that, a friend that I looked up to, almost like a big brother, ended up passing away. And I will not share any details about that because that is not my place at all. But after this, I was convinced nothing was going to ever work out for me. My life was over. I stopped going to class and everything just kind of fell apart. I ended up making the decision to take a gap year after starting college. Now I'm going to try to get to the point I want to make with the minute and a half I have left. So, the whole point of me telling my entire life story, basically, is I want to tell whoever needs to hear it, please ask for help. 18 years I went without asking for help. 18 years. And it got to a point where I did not see tomorrow as a feasible thing. It took a lot for me in the last 2 months to start asking for help, but I have finally realized I am not alone, and no one else is alone. There is someone out there who feels even slightly similar to you, and there are people who care. And I know that staying for other people is not what a lot of people want to do. So I want to say this. Stay for yourself. Life is limitless. There are infinite possibilities of what you can do, and you are never too far gone. Ever. I am still a work in progress. I am not saying I am doing perfectly right now. But what I am saying is I am so grateful I am still here. As someone who has never really had the odds in her favor, please listen to me when I say it gets better. And the last things I will say are, it is okay to not be okay. As cliche as it sounds, it's true. And please, tell your friends you love them.
Story time on how I got pregnant at 15, hid it from my mama for 5 months, and had to have a baby. So boom. I'm 15. I was living with my mama at the time. My mama, my sister, and my little brother. So My mama baby daddy, he drive trucks, but he never in town for real, but only on certain days. So only on them certain days, she'd be at his house. But it started becoming a repeated cycle, and she ended up staying with him. So summertime come, me and my friends, we got the house to ourselves. We doing what teenagers do. Drinking. So yeah, we having boys come over, this and that, you know. But like, the group of boys that we used to always have over the house was like gang for real. Like, every single one of us had a boyfriend or like somebody in the group. And then we was all like a big friend group on some shit. So boom, skip the summertime. So school ended up starting back, and this dude that I used to talk to like in 2020, 2019, he was in my class or whatever. Mind you, I had to go to alternative school because my attendance was so bad. So alternative school is like different ages, like it's different ages, but y'all gonna be in the same class. So yeah. So we ended up being in the same class or whatever, and he get to talking to me, and he just telling me what I want to hear, basically. I ain't gonna too much say shit about him because I don't give a fuck about him. So boom, fast forward. I had ended up linking with him that night. A night, like, it was like the third day of school. So, boom, he exploded in me in 2 seconds, literally. The shit was ass, bro. Take me home ASAP. I drove his car to my house. Boom. So, boom, after that, we just linking every day. You know how this shit go. But I didn't even know he exploded in me. So, my period was supposed to come at the end of the month on the 25th. Or the 26th. It was the end of the month. I don't really even know. So, my period didn't end up coming. Mind you, we did it a day before my period supposed to come. He exploded in me that time. I know that time because, yeah, I just know. So, I tell him, like, can you bring me a plan B? He don't bring it. He went to the pumpkin patch. Okay, cool. So, mind you, I'm telling y'all, we had our own house. I'm not finna tell my mama bring me a plan B. So, boom, a week go by. So, boom, y'all, a week go by, and I get the feeling sick as hell. I wouldn't even lie to you. I had a Stromboli from Little Caesars or whatever. And the Stromboli, it was a large Stromboli. I think it had bacon, pepperoni, and peppers in it or something. With extra Parmesan on that bitch. It was so fresh, like I just literally picked it up. My brother boo-hooing crying about my motherfucking pizza. He ended up throwing up on my shit. When I tell y'all I was so motherfucking mad, I got the throwing up on the pizza too. So then, boom, I'm throwing up. My mama really not really paying attention. She was there at that day. So she ain't really paying attention. I ain't really paying attention. I'm sick for that whole week. Boom, it's October now. October, I ain't sick the whole month of October. I'm drinking. November, my birthday month. I'm trying to drink. Can't. I'm faking shots and everything. So, boom. November, I ain't sick. December come. I feel like something, like my body is changing. So, I text him. I'm like, can you bring me a test? Mind you, I'm not finna tell my mama to bring me no test. And I didn't have no car at the time. So, I'm like, can you bring me a test? He said, yeah, never bring it. So, him not bringing a test, I'm not taking it. I'm not doing it myself. So, what I say, December? December, yeah. My sister's birthday, December 29th. I was drinking, doing all that. I ended up getting drunk as hell. Like, that shit didn't even make me sick or nothing. So, boom, fast forward January. I started losing taste and all type of shit. My back was hurting. My ribs felt like it was hurting. Like, everything on me was hurting. I started losing weight. Like, my legs got skinny as fuck because I was not eating. I could not eat. I did not have no appetite. Everything I ate felt like I was going to throw it back up. So we thinking I got the flu. So whole time, I know I'm pregnant now. So my mama bringing food. She cooking every day. Like, she just doing, like, all this. So I ended up telling her, like, I don't got no appetite or whatever. And I feel sick as fuck, like my body hurting, my, like, everything just hurt on me. So she ended up bringing me some thyroid or something. I don't know what it's called. I know it started with a T though. It was some liquid. It was so nasty. Ugh. I didn't even drink that shit. I took one sip and then I think it's like some tea. It looked like some tea or something. I don't know. I'll have to search that shit up. So I ain't drink that shit. She bring me Gatorades. I'm taking Tylenols for headaches. I'm taking all kind of medicine. So boom, she ended up taking me to the urgent care. They asked me when was my last period. I lied. I said last month because my mama was in the room and I was scared. Mind you, I conceived the end of September. So at this point, I'm 4 months. So the urgent care, like, just text me for the flu, COVID, shit like that. Not once did they take my pee. Not once did they draw my blood. So, okay, cool. So, the next day, I'm still feeling sick. Like, I'm feeling like I'm about to die. So, we go to a different urgent care. So, they ask me the same thing. They test me for the same thing. So, as we walking out the urgent care, my eyes just get to turning black. Like, I won't even lie. Like, my vision was so blurry, I almost passed the fuck out. So I grab onto the wall. Like, I'm grabbing onto the wall so I don't fall on some shit. My mama walking out, she mad because she got to go back to work and she had to just take me to the urgent care. So she, like, as we walking out the door, she like, hurry up. And I should have made them test you for a pregnancy test. Boom, when she said that. So I'm quiet almost the whole car ride. She's like, and you better not be pregnant. Who? Me? I'm like, no, I ain't pregnant. Like, I ain't pregnant. I'm just steady arguing back and forth with her. I'm like, I'm not pregnant. Like, what the hell? So then she goes on to say she gonna give me a pregnancy test, but never got it. So we get back to the house or whatever. She go back to her boyfriend's house. Fast forward to probably the end of January, going into February. It's probably the 1st. So something had ended up happening. If you know, you know. If you know, you know, then you know. So as we moving out, we still living there for probably a couple more days. And as I'm laying on the couch, I just feel something moving in my stomach. I knew it was over. I'm like, this just exactly what it was. Like, so I think at this time, I'm 5 months now because it's February. So we get to living somewhere else. So I didn't tell nobody but my best friend that I was actually pregnant. So the next day after that, when I felt something moving in my stomach, we ended up staying at the other house. So the next day, my mama pick us up from work when she get off work. She like, yeah, I'm gonna start taking y'all somewhere every week, out to eat, arcade, all that stuff. So as we out to eat, y'all, mind y'all, I'm skinny as fuck. I'm not eating my food. She like, you just wasted my money, this, and that. They laughing about my weight. So when we get back to the house, I got something to laugh at. So when we got back to the house after we left the restaurant, I ended up texting her a long paragraph telling her I was pregnant and I had the abortion money and if she could take me. And she was just like, well, am I dreaming? No. I'm like, don't tell nobody. Like for part 2.
Story time about my vagina that literally nobody asked for, but I'm gonna give it to you anyways. So if you are a guy, please go on ahead and swipe past this video because this is not for you. If you literally do not have a vagina, scroll past this video. So yeah. start off in July. I was in a trip in Aruba, very stressed. I will say I was very, very, very stressed when I was in Aruba with my mom. I was honestly stressed all summer. That was probably the most stressful month for me, not because anything particularly was happening, but I was just putting a lot of stress on myself. That was probably the most I've cried, the most emotional I've been, and the whole entire trip I could not eat, I could barely sleep. Still had a great time, but like the trip itself, like my health was not good. It was declining, and it was probably the skinniest that I've been. I would say I was about like 120 something pounds. I'm 6 foot. That's bad. That's bad. Even now I'm honestly underweight and it's still bad. So anybody who thinks that I have this like perfect body, I am making this video specifically because I don't know if it's my weight that is causing these issues or whatever, but like I go through shit and I am going through shit, and this is shit that nobody researches apparently, and we have nothing fucking on it. So I get back feeling okay. My bladder starts to burn, and I'm like, okay, this has got to be like a UTI. Like I got a UTI or something. I go to urgent care. They say you do have a UTI. I'm like, okay, cool, great. Give me the antibiotics and let me be on my way. That's exactly what they do. I take the antibiotics. A week later, I'm feeling like, okay, like this is a new me. Like no UTI. Who this? Well, literally like a day after the day I felt good after stopping the antibiotics, like the following day, I was like, I am burning. Like I'm literally burning. I feel myself burning. So I go back to the urgent care and I'm like, hey guys, like I just want to get tested again because I feel like I came here the first time, got antibiotics. All these symptoms should be gone by now, but for some reason they're not. They test me. They say, well, you know, your last urine culture came back negative. So you didn't even have a UTI. I'm like, so I don't have a UTI now, and I didn't have a fucking UTI. No. Okay, so after that, I'm like, screw this. I need to go to the gynecologist. I go to my normal doctor at the time, which was, I think, like Heart of Florida or something, and I'm saying that online because I don't like Heart of Florida. I go to my normal doctor, try to get in with the gynecologist. They get me in for like a checkup because I guess I need to be referred to their gynecologist. But like all year I kept trying to do that, and they would only schedule appointments for like checkups or like referral, but they would never actually refer me to the gynecologist. So it was always like a waste of money and a waste of time because I always had to pay like a copay fee at the front for $50 just for the appointment for them to tell me the same things. Whatever. Place, I go somewhere else. Great. Love them. I go there, get into the gynecologist, first appointment. She's already up in there. Like she's already looking at me, inspecting everything. That was in August. She gets me for yeast infection and BV. I'm like, oh, double whammy. Thank you so much. I really wanted to have these right now, but whatever. Like it's fine. It's like, give me the antibiotics and let me go on with my day. Like I just need to get over this period that I'm going through. And you know, when I was on birth control, I was on it from 2023 to this May. I had a ton of problems. Like I was like always switching them because I had problems. So then I just got off entirely because I was like, fuck this. You guys hate me. And I just was like, birth control doesn't personally work for me. I know everybody has their own stories, but for me it didn't work. That's fine. So I go to the gynecologist. I take my antibiotics. Okay, fine. Shit, I'm losing my train of thought. I go to get my freaking antibiotics, and then I take them. Yeast infection, BV, gone, fine. I'm like, okay, like I'm feeling like a brand new person. Well, I'm burning still. I'm burning really bad still, and I don't know what the fuck to do. So I keep going back. At this point, I've been to the gynecologist about 6 times, and every single time they've looked at me. I go to get an ultrasound up in there. See what's going on. Like, what you got? Do you have any cysts? Do you have any of this? I go to these appointments. I get checked out every time. No, negative. She tells me, I think you might have interstitial cystitis. Hell no. I've been Googling that shit this whole time. This has been the one thing I've seen on Google and on TikTok that I'm like, I hope and pray I do not have this. I hope and pray I do not have this. Interstitial cystitis. She's like, yeah, I think you should try avoiding these things, don't do this, and then see how it affects you. Food doesn't really affect me, drinks don't really affect me, although alcohol might a little bit, not too much, but it might a little bit. And yeah, I've just been struggling with this fuck ass shit, so I just wanted to let you guys know that. I'm not going to say I have interstitial cystitis because too many women in comments have been like, I've had this for 30 years. Oh no, honey. I'm figuring this shit out. I'm not getting Botox in my bladder. I'm not, getting bladder installations or getting like stuff spewed up my bladder to expand it. Me personally, that's not gonna work. What else? I'm also not going to, yeah. I'm just not gonna accept interstitial, I'm not gonna accept interstitial cystitis as like my diagnosis, because this shit is chronic and I do not claim that negative energy. I don't claim that negative energy, so I'm gonna start pelvic floor therapy. And I'll let you guys know how that goes, although nobody really asked, but hopefully pelvic floor therapy should be beneficial, because I think when these issues started, I was under a lot of stress. And I think ever since, my body has just been tense. And my body has just been tight. And I think because I don't weigh that much, I honestly don't have as much muscle mass as I used to. I think my whole body is just like screaming for help. So that's my story on how I am neglecting my interstitial cystitis diagnosis and choosing to look elsewhere because I don't want that negative energy.
Here is a horror story that happened to me and my best friend. If you don't believe in paranormal activity, just scroll, because I'm not going to argue with you guys in the comments. So basically, for a little bit of background information, every single time my best friend comes over, no matter the weather or anything, we usually watch a scary movie and then go for a walk. Don't ask why, that's just what we like to do, and usually there's like Taco Bell or some food in there too, but that's just what we do. We were like, let's go for a walk. Now, where we chose to go for a walk might have been where the part where we messed up, but we always go back here. Like, I go back here with my other friends. Like, usually it's fine. I've had 1 or 2 experiences back there, but that's for another time. Basically, it's like houses lined up, and behind their house and behind their backyard is like a small pathway where you can walk. And the pathway leads to train tracks and like a park. It's not even like a park. It just has swings and this huge slide. That's it. So I think it's like dead summer, and we immediately walk outside and a huge cold breeze just smacks me in the face. And I specifically remember that because right after that, I just got this bad like tension in my body that I didn't like at all. And I kind of like brushed it off just because I wanted to go for a walk. Like, I was bored. So like I didn't say anything, but she was feeling the same exact thing. And I figured that out after this happened. So maybe we both should have just spoke up, but whatever. Since we were both feeling a little like scared and, you know, tensed up, Aubrey started telling me a story, and I don't know what it was about. I think it was like this girl stealing someone's boyfriend. I don't know, it doesn't really matter, but the most important part is when she was telling the story, she specifically said they were saying this girl had a weird face. And I don't know if this was actually what happened, but in my head, she kept repeating it. She kept saying, this girl had a really weird face. Again, I don't know if she was actually repeating that or if that's just the thing that stuck out to me. But in my head, she said that 10 times. She was just like, she had such a weird looking face. Like, Megan, it looked so weird. It's like, I don't know. That's just like the only thing I remember her saying. And then she said something about like it looking like disformed. And I was like, all right, okay, let's stop. I was like, all right, let's stop, because I got this god awful looking scary girl in my head and I could not get it out. Specifically remember a huge ass cold breeze smacking my face again, and that's when I was like, oh my fucking god, my body like tensed up. I got like the chills, and I wanted to say, Aubrey, we need to turn back, we need to go back. Like, something in my head was saying, go back, go back, go back, go back. And we kept walking. Just because sometimes I don't know if it's just because I'm being a pussy or if it's my body actually telling me go the fuck back. So I was like, okay, maybe you're just scared, keep walking. So we kept walking. Okay, I'm getting kind of scared because my room's in the basement and like the door's right there. I don't like, it's like too quiet right now. It's okay. We're walking and we hear 2 branches crack behind us. And I'm like, I shoot my head back and I'm like, did you hear that? And she's like, yeah. I was like, it's fine, Aubrey, just keep walking. So we keep walking and we hear more movement behind us, not trees like or branches cracking, like more like just like movement, like kind of like bushes moving. And I was like, bro, do you hear that or am I tripping? And she's like, no, I hear it, Megan. So I'm like, okay, whatever, just stay calm. And then it happened the 3rd time and we bolted. Like, we didn't even see anything at this time, we just ran, right? Aubrey was a little ahead of me because the thing is like anytime anything like this happens, I like when everyone's in front of me just so I can like make sure everyone's there. And right behind Aubrey, and you guys saying this, I know you guys are not going to believe me, but you please believe me because I'm not lying. Like, genuinely, from the bottom of my heart, not lying. And I was almost throwing up and crying after this, like genuinely. So standing behind Aubrey, well, chasing Aubrey actually, is this tall black man with a long stretched out face. He didn't really have a face. He just had like a long mouth and like long eyes, kind of like that, all black body. And he was like hovering over Aubrey, because it's like he was right there. He could have like got Aubrey if he wanted to, but he was just like kind of pacing, like this was Aubrey and this was him, and he was just like kind of pacing with her, if that makes sense. And I'm just like running, like I'm running basically next to it, and I'm just like looking up at it. Like I didn't say anything, like I didn't. So we get to one of like the houses, because like I said, we're a pathway behind houses, so we come out where we can like kind of run out in one of their front yards, if that makes sense. So we get there, and I like put my hands on my knees like this, and I'm breathing heavy, and I'm crying, and Aubrey's like, Megan, what was that? What the fuck was that? And I'm like I can't breathe, because I don't think she saw it. If I'm wrong, Aubrey, correct me in the comments. I don't think she saw it, but I'm out of breath, like crying, and I'm like, Aubrey, I'm gonna throw up. I can't catch my breath. And she's like trying to hold me and like walk me down the court, because basically I live on courts, and so we were trying to get to the end to get like to the main thing, if that makes sense. If you guys want me to, I can like always pull up a map and explain it, but that's like, I don't know. And so we're walking, and I'm not even joking. You can tell I'm just looking back every single second. I'm like, I'm not joking. I tell Aubrey, you look forward, I'll look back, because we need to make sure like that wasn't someone real, even though deep down I knew it wasn't, because he was right there. He was literally right there. I just heard something on my door. No one better try to scare me right now, because I will actually fucking kill someone. I'm actually scared. And thinking back to this, oh my god, now I'm hearing shit. We got back, and I'm like crying, and I don't even know what we do. Oh yeah, we come in my room, we sit down still out of breath, and then that's when we kind of like calm down a little, because you know, we're in my room, we're safe, but we're still like looking around my room, like we don't want to leave my room. Like it was just so bad. I don't know, but whatever it is, we haven't gone back since. So yeah. But thanks for watching my story time, guys. If you guys want more, comment, because I have so many more, because stuff has happened in my house, at other people's houses, around my house, and yeah. So love you guys. Bye.
I'm shaking. I've been shaking since 8 a.m. this morning when I woke up when this happened to me. I don't want this to get taken down because of what I'm going to be talking about. I don't know what to do, and I need help to figure out like what route to take and what to do with the situation, because I've never been. Long story short, I woke up this morning to someone streaming child content on my Roku TV, and I have evidence of them trying to connect to a device. I don't know if they thought they were connecting to their TV and they connected to mine. And then I have evidence of the said content, and it happened like 4 times. I disconnected it and unconnected it because I play YouTube at night and play white noise because me and my daughter sleep in the same room, and so the YouTube plays all night. So I have whatever. That happened. Someone was streaming child content on my TV. So my boyfriend was at work, and I called him, and he told me to call the police. So I called the police, and the police came, and all they did is they told me the Roku device has a I'm shaken up, has a, I don't know, something to turn off like the mirroring settings where you can turn that off so no one can connect to your TV. So he told me to do that, and I gave him my name, my information, and that's all he did. He just told me to turn that off. And also a week ago, 2 weeks ago, someone put a tracker in my car, and we can't find it. And the only one that can, my boyfriend is the only phone that'll like link to or like say that there's something there in my car, and it's in my car. And so the cops left, and I went to look on the vendor's registry list, and I have a new neighbor upstairs. When I was pregnant, I was looking at who was around, and he did not live here at the time, so he was not there. I didn't know. So he moved in a couple months ago, and he list for promoting and distributing and to try and get in contact through the internet with someone between the ages of 4 and 10 years old. So he is an active, And me being me, I went straight upstairs and I knocked on his door. And I knocked on his door for a good 30 seconds, and all I heard was that man getting off the couch and putting his pants on because he was wearing windbreaker pants. And I literally said, oh, you're putting your pants on right now, aren't you? And he opened the door. He looked a little distraught. I'm not trying to, like, give too much. I don't want to, like, because I want to put this man in jail. I want to do whatever I can. I don't know what I have to do with some investigations. I'm going to talk to a detective already. Because I told him, I said, are you accidentally streaming your content on my TV? And he was like, his like expression didn't even change. He was just like, oh, sorry. I was like, oh, I heard you putting your pants on. He was like, yeah, I'm just getting ready. And I was like, oh. And then I showed him his sex offenders list. I said, oh, really? You're just getting ready for work. So why are you streaming this on my TV? And he just kept on saying, like, oh, sorry. Just sorry. Nothing in his eyes or his face changed at all. He just kept on saying sorry. And I have a baby. I have a 1-year-old baby. I have a 1.5-year-old baby. I have a baby. I'm stressed. I don't know what to do. I'm freaking out. I want this man arrested. I need to know, like, what lengths I have to go to or what I have to do to, because I know I need to get IP addresses. I need to do certain types of things to, like, link things. I know I need to do so many things, and I'm just stressed out because I live here. Because I can't live here underneath someone who, and I have a 1-year-old baby. And the things I saw is so sad and so scary. And he just kind of laughed. He was just kind of like, and closed the door. I want him in jail. I'm sorry.
Here's a video explaining how my life got ruined. And I'm taking a big risk doing this, so let's dive in. On April 30th, 2025 at 6 o'clock in the morning, the FBI raided my house. They came in with flash bombs and a full SWAT team. I was laying in bed with my husband. My kids were about to get ready for school. And that's how I know what time it was, because I had just looked at my alarm to see what time it was going to go off. I had a few minutes, and then bang, 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 bang. And my life was destroyed. I'm going to preface this with saying, like, I'm not going to go into too many specifics. I'm not going to name anybody. I'm going to mostly talk about my feelings on the matter. They came in, they searched the house, they removed everybody outside of it. That was the last time my kids saw their father. He was separated from us, and then he was made to leave. He was not arrested on that day. I was in shock pretty quickly, just kind of shut down. I remember the only thing I was able to say over and over was, I don't understand, because I didn't. We had just moved into the house 2 days prior. I thought maybe there was something about the house, the previous owner. Like, I didn't know what was going on. I had no idea. They, like I said, they separated us. They questioned me about things about his activities online, things that he did, things that I might have seen, his behavior. I over the course of the questioning, I started to kind of understand why they were there. And it was not a good reason. My husband was engaged in online activities regarding minors, and I had no idea. I had no idea what he was doing. He covered it up very, very well. Even the FBI admitted that he had done a very good job covering what he was doing. I felt really stupid. Really, really stupid. On that day, he lost his job, obviously. He has not been back to the home since, and now he is in jail. He was arrested about a month or two after that, after they took all of our computers. They took my computer, they took my oldest child's computer. They did investigations, and he was subsequently arrested and is in jail waiting trial. And since that day, my life was destroyed. All of our income was through him. Everything I own is in his name because I was stupid. I was a stupid wife who let her husband put everything in his name because of all the rational reasons at the time that made sense. And now I'm stuck. I'm ruined. I have no way to match his income that he was making. I've been fighting tooth and nail, trying to make things work, make ends meet, while dealing with the psychological effects of everything that happened and all of the truth that came out after. I did not know what he was doing. I can say that with definitive 100% had no clue that that was what he was doing. I feel guilty. I feel stupid. I feel betrayed. I feel unsafe. And mostly, I don't trust myself anymore. I don't trust my own decisions. I don't just trust my own mind. I don't trust my instincts. It has been the worst 6 months of my life. I met my husband when I was 15. He was 16. We were together for 23 years. And we were married for 16 of them. I don't know what my life is going to look like going forward. I'm going to lose my home probably. Today is an important day of trying to stop that from happening, but I don't have anything. My bank account's negative. Even though I've been working full time, I can't catch up. He destroyed our lives in the worst way, doing the worst things. And I honestly had no idea who I was married to. So, if one thing that I can do with everything that's happened, with everything that I have experienced and the things that I've learned from this experience, is always create a safety net for yourself. Always have a backup just in case. It doesn't matter how long you're with somebody. It doesn't matter how well you know them. I was with him longer than I wasn't. My life had been with him, and I was still blindsided and abandoned. I've gotten help, as much help as I could from people in my life, but they can't continue to keep helping us. And I was woefully unprepared for this. I have no backup, no alternative. I have no idea what to do. And I'm lost. And I'm scared for my kids. But if there's one thing that anybody ever says, it's always get your own bank account and never become dependent on somebody. It's true. I was told that my whole life too, and I didn't listen. And you need to. It doesn't matter if you're a man, a woman, it doesn't matter who you are. If you are in a relationship, always have your own things. Always make sure your name is on everything. Make sure you are on equal standing with your partner, because you never know what's going to happen. It's very similar to grief. It is grief. I'm grieving the life that I had. I'm grieving the life I thought I had. I'm grieving the person I thought I knew, who obviously did not exist, who I obviously had no understanding of who they were. And that's been extremely painful. I don't know who I am now outside of the life that I had made, the life that I was living. I don't know who I am. I don't know what my future is. But please, if sharing this story does anything, I hope that it teaches anybody or helps anybody understand what you have to do to protect yourself and to make sure that you are safe, regardless of who you're with, regardless of how much you love them, regardless of how much you trust them, because I trusted him. I trusted him completely. We were not perfect, but I still did not think that he could do something like this to us, to me, to our family. And now I'm left with nothing except ruin and fear and shame and guilt and panic. So please, if there's anything you do in this world, is listen to this and take the steps you need to take to protect yourself, because you never know when it's going to be too late. You never know when a shoe's going to drop or an emergency is going to happen and you might be left with nothing. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk.
Me new to state, me new to school, me have no friends. Me girl, we become friends. Girl kinda mean. Me no talk to girl. Me no talk to girl summer before freshman year. Me and girl go into high school. Me and girl have same homeroom all 4 years of high school. Me and girl start talking again. Me and girl become friends again. Me kind of skeptical though. Me have me own friends. Girl kind of struggling. Me being nice. Me being friendly. Girl come to me saying I say mean things about her. Me say mean things about her. Me confused. Me say, give me sources. Who said that? Girl can't produce sources. Me know she's lying. Me back away. Me step away from the situation. Me don't talk to her. Sophomore year. Me giving a girl another chance. Me and girl have duo day, a homecoming week costume planned. Day before, girl texts me, you say mean things about my body. Me shocked. Me don't do that. Me know I'm not perfect. Me don't do that to other people. Me say, no, I didn't. Girl come at me. Me back away again. Me not talk to her. Me duo with someone else. Junior year. Me girl still no talk. Girl apologized to me end of junior year. Me say, okay. Me no talk to her over summer. Me hang out with me own friends. Me hear little birdie saying she's saying I'm attention seeking. Me not paying attention to it. Me not caring. Senior year. Me wanna have a good time. It's senior year. Girl come apologize again. Me, stupidly, said, okay, I'll give you another chance at senior girl lock-in. Me being nice, me being friendly, me doing my own thing. Girl has to insert her commentary and herself into every situation. Me have boyfriend of 1 year. Me see girl add boyfriend on Snap. Me confused, me shocked, me mad. Me don't say anything. Me boyfriend texts me, say, who is this? Me explain the situation. Me boyfriend block her. Didn't even add her back. Fast forward to month before homecoming. Me find out boyfriend cheated. Me boyfriend break up. Me okay. Me get a Hoko date with me friend. He nice, he cool, he good guy. Girl come and apologize to me. Girl and I talking a little bit. Girl have her own date. Girl talking to this guy, like romantically. Fast forward to 2 weeks before homecoming at a football game. Girl try to fight me. Me say okay. Girl run away. Me let it go. Me girl not talking. Girl go to Hoko. Me go to Hoko. Me date have a concussion. Me keeping an eye on him, getting him stuff he needs, while also doing me own thing. Girl date left her on the side of the dance floor to go dance with his friends. Girl go tell everybody. Me following around my date like a puppy. Me laugh it off. Me don't care. Me having a good time. Me and date go back to my date house to get ready for after party. Me and date are driving separately to the after party. Party an hour and 15 away. Me vibing. Me getting calls. Girl. It's the girl. Me hang up. Me don't want that tonight. Me don't want anything. Girl call again. Me hang up. Girl call again. Me hang up. Girl call again. Me hang up. 6 times in a span of 10 minutes. Me want to listen to my music. Me date call. Me confused. I'm about to see my date. I'm like, okay. Me answer. Date say, girl call him. Hysterical because her talking stage cheated on her. Me not really caring. It's not me problem. Me and guy talk for a little. Throwing jokes, say, see you at party. Me hang up. Me driving to my music. Girl call again. Me getting annoyed. Me want to listen to my music.
me hang up. Girl call again, me hang up. Girl call again, me finally answer. Girl hysterical, saying he cheated. Me not really caring because girl had also been obsessed with her ex. Me hang up, me pull into party. Park, not a second later, she's already in me car without an anybody. Me annoyed. Me get out of car, go to her talking stage car, talk to him about life, not about the situation. Me come back, she on phone with said girl screaming. Me upset. Me say, get out my car, I'm going to party. Girl screaming, meet up with me date's friend's date. Me and girl talk. Me and girl have a good time. Girl come in, shove her way in between us and screaming. Me a little bit annoyed. Me go party, me have a good time. Me driving. Me underage. Me walk in, see people want me and girl fight. Girl leaves before. Me whatever, me enjoy my time. Me go home 1 a.m. Girl, week later, at a football game, on bathroom floor, parents see her. Me friends say go check on her. Me don't really want to. They drag me. Me say I'm not going to be associated with this. Me leave. Girl escorted out. Police call on her. Girl escorted out. Me glad I left. Me see she in rehab. Me glad she's getting help. Me also find out when I went to use my emergency $20 for gas, it gone. Me remembering I asked girl to put my perfume back in my console. Girl stole $20. Me hecka mad. Girl come back. Girl try and apologize. Me not taking it. Me not giving another chance. Me say no. You stole $20. She say she pay back. She never pay back. Never. Girl get sent back. Me living life. Girl come back. Girl try apologize. Girl say she wants to room with me in college. Me and girl not go to the same college. Girl lie about which college she's going to. Me no. Girl go back. Girl don't graduate. Girl texts me after saying she's sorry. Me done. Me done with it all. Me just being nice and friendly and answering. Me on ad girl. Cause me find out she's still talking about me. We don't even go to the same college. Me hour and a half away. What could girl be talking about? Me flabbergasted. Me done.
Hi, my name is Kennedy, and since it is Domestic Abuse Month, I thought that I would share my story. So I dated this guy back in 2021. We dated for a few months, and he was honestly a really good boyfriend, but I ultimately just broke up with him because we had a fight. And then fast forward 3 years, we get back together. Now, in my head, I didn't think anything of it because when we dated, he was a really good boyfriend. And still, he was a very good boyfriend for a while, for a few months, the second time around. The second time around being summer 2024. And so we started dating in August of 2024 again. Basically, he was amazing. He would drop everything for me. He would drive me everywhere. He would buy me everything. He was an amazing boyfriend. And I was like, he's my husband. So now, flash forward to November, he brings me to Vegas for a car show thing. It was also kind of my birthday present. Crazy birthday present for only being a few months dating, but whatever. So while we're in Vegas, he is in the worst mood ever. He completely does a 180. His mood, his energy, everything. He's not the same person that I left my state with.
So this one night it gets really bad. We're screaming at each other. He has my phone. He's not giving it back to me. I end up calling my dad when he finally gives me my phone back, and he tries ripping the phone from my hands and pulls my hair, and it was an awful night. While in Vegas, he was also like punching car doors, screaming at the top of his lungs at me, like awful. I contracted a UTI while in Vegas as well, and he had to bring me to the emergency room because it was really bad really fast, and he blamed me for him missing an hour of his car show the rest of the trip and made me feel guilty. Also, while we were in Vegas, he became very obsessed with my weight. When he had to bring me to the urgent care, he was trying to see my weight on the scale, and then he thought that he saw 123 and told me that I needed to start a diet, and he's gonna help me with a workout regimen. Anyway, so flash forward, we get back from Vegas. A bunch of stuff happens with my family. I ultimately move in with him. Terrible, I know. So in the beginning of moving in with him, it was really good. Again, he would drive me to work because I didn't want to wake up super early and drive. Like, he would just do all the little things that like I always wanted. And then one night he comes home and I look at him and I said, hey, I'm thinking of moving back in with my parents, but we can still be together. Like, I'll still come over like every day. Like, we'll see each other every day like we were before. He did not like that. So he told me that absolutely under no circumstance are we going to be together if I move back in with my parents. In my head, I was like, you know what? I'm fine with that. So I get up to go grab my keys from the bedroom, and he gets up and I'm starting to leave, and he picks me up over his shoulder, throws me on the bed, holds me down, and says, you're not going anywhere. I told him I'm leaving, so basically I was like, just let me go sit out in the car. I won't go anywhere. I just need to be away from you right now. So I went and sat out in his car because then I couldn't drive away. And I called my friend, I told her everything, and I was like, this just happened. This, like, more happened that night, but that's all that I'm gonna share. And then I went back inside and went to bed like nothing happened. And then flash forward again, he was always looking through my phone. So one night I was like, is he projecting? Like, what's he hiding on his phone? So I took his phone and I went through it, and I saw that he had texted his ex-girlfriend Madison. We're really good friends now. If you're watching this, I love you. But he texted his ex-girlfriend 2 days after we started officially dating. And so I asked him, I was like, what is this about? And he basically said like, oh, like, that means nothing. Like, I was really drunk, blah, blah. I'm like, that makes it worse. Like, what do you mean that means nothing? And so then I told him, I was like, I don't think I can do this anymore. Like, I can't be with you. Like, this is awful. Then we're gonna backtrack. Basically, our entire relationship, he had told me that if I ever left him, he would murder me and my whole family. I was always like, oh my gosh, like, he really wants me. Like, how cute. So basically, now flash forward, I'm sitting on his bed telling him I cannot be with him anymore. We need to break up. And I had my back to him. And all I heard was, remember what I told you would happen if you ever left me. That, I think about that moment every day of my life. I could have died, like, actually, because he was psychotic enough to murder me. And so then obviously I whipped around. I said, what did you just say? And he was like he literally went, whoa. So anyway, then flash forward, another instance happened where he was holding me down on the couch, threw me onto the bed, holding me down, and then he ended up locking me in his bedroom because I wanted to leave, and he said absolutely not. So he locked me in his bedroom. I tried jumping out the window because I didn't want to be there, and I hate being like trapped in spaces. So then finally I start sobbing, and I'm like, I need to get out of this room. Like, I cannot be in here. So then I go by the stairs and I said, I'm done. And I started walking down the stairs. And so he followed me and he ripped my wrist back, and we're at the bottom of the stairs and I'm screaming at him. I'm like, I'm leaving. So my car was parked in the garage and the garage door was closed. So I run into my car and he goes to like open up the door, but I'd locked it just in time. And then I started my car. And obviously you cannot be in a closed garage with the car started. So I knew that it's either we're dying together or he's opening up the garage door. So he finally opens up the garage door. I leave and I call one of my friends and I'm like, hey, this just happened. What do you think? And she's like, what do you mean this just happened, Kennedy? Like, that's crazy. Like, that's insane. So then I was sitting there and I was like, I really don't know if I want to call my parents. Like, I don't want to hear them say I told you so. Like, this is like, I was so many mixed emotions, and it was an awful feeling. So I ultimately ended up calling my parents and I said, please do not say I told you so. Don't ask questions. I need you here immediately with both cars, I'm moving out tonight. And they came, 0 questions asked, immediately. And then his family came upstairs and my family got there and we all were sitting in the kitchen. My family thought that our relationship was perfect. Picture perfect, we were gonna get married. So I basically started telling his family and my family everything that's been going on. Him pointing at me, him threatening to murder me, him, the physical abuse, the emotional abuse, the mental abuse, all of the abuse. And my parents were just like so in shock. Like they again thought that everything was good. So then basically we packed up all my things. I left and he lied, of course, about the whole thing. So then I spoke to his ex-girlfriend, Madison, and she told me everything that he did to her. And I'm not going to share anything, but I was in actual awe, like actual shock. So I blocked him on everything. He ended up emailing me, trying to get me back. And we had a shared notes app. He ended up typing a whole letter in the notes app. And then I ended up calling the cops and telling them everything just to try to have it on record so that another girl would not have to experience this with him. So, of course, his parents, his horrible, I cannot stress enough how horrible his parents are, got him out of everything, talked everybody out of it, no record of it happening, nothing. He just got away clean, got to abuse me, got to ruin me mentally for probably the rest of my life. And his parents were just like, I'm gonna get you out of this. He's 21 years old. 21 years old. His mom would wipe his ass if he asked. Probably has. I think she was more in love with him than I ever was. Anyway, so this entire 8-minute video is not because I'm thinking about my ex or whatever. It's a PSA to women. If you are going through something and you think anything is wrong and you think anything is just not right, okay, leave. Like, do not wait for it to get worse. I am so blessed that he never like hit me or anything, and I saw that it was progressing very fast and it was gonna get worse, and I left him. Like, I had the strength to leave him, and everybody has that strength in them. I get it, it is so hard to leave, but this is just a video. If you're going through something, please reach out to somebody, get the help that you need. And I'm always here for you if you want to reach out to me personally, because nobody should have to go through this alone. I love you and thank you for listening to my story.
Because you get nothing else from me today.
Hi, welcome back to part 4 of My Toxic Mother-in-Law Hates Me Because I Married Her Son and She Couldn't. But in all seriousness, I've been making this series not only to share my story, my husband's story, but to spread awareness of how these kind of people are and how these families are and what kind of trauma and pain that can bring a person, but also how to get out of it and how to make those boundaries. But one of the first things I wanted to do in this video was I have gotten more comments than I can even count on people wanting to see what my nails are because they're so distracted, I guess, when I'm talking. So for all of the girls watching, these are the nails that I have. But back to the good stuff. In this part specifically, I wanted to discuss about when I got pregnant, how it went when we told them and her reaction, and how she went crazy from that, and how horribly she speaks of her child. It's one thing to treat me a certain way, it's one thing to treat your own son a certain way, but to talk bad and gross about a literal infant, a child, that is just on a whole nother level to me. Before I get into the story of it, a lot of people were commenting and asking like how I made boundaries when having a child, and how the mother-in-laws always seem to come out of the woodwork when you have a child, or when you have a kid, like the husband starts to get like sentimental and wants the mom in the picture, yada yada yada. We have not had any of those issues. Something that I wanted to discuss in another part, but I just ran out of time because they were so long, was before my husband and I even got married, and everything was getting really bad before our wedding. We had already been engaged. I told my husband, I don't care what relationship you want to continue to have with your mom, whether you want to try to work on that relationship and keep it, whether you want to cut her off, whatever you decide to do, that is up to you. I will not be the wife or the girlfriend or the fiance that tells you what to do. But for me, I need to tell you this now, because if you can't agree to this, then I cannot marry you. And I told him if he couldn't agree to me after our wedding, never seeing or speaking to his mother, never going to the house, never being involved in any of the family things, and if he could not agree to our future children not being exposed to her, then I couldn't marry him. And my reason behind that was I had gone through so much trauma and so much pain. My mother had gone through a very similar situation with my grandmother, my dad's mom, and I was subjected to a lot of pain and a lot of weirdness when I was a child because my dad didn't make those boundaries at first. and I saw the way that my grandma treated my mom and how she talked about her, and I could not have a child and put them in that kind of situation. That would be shameful of me, that would be immature of me, and I needed to have that conversation with him before our actual wedding day, because I would not be able to marry him if I knew that he wouldn't agree to that. But my husband agreed to it. He's literally the most precious person, and he was like, I would never want my children to be exposed to that. I don't want you to be exposed to that. Like, that's not even like a question for me. Like, of course, yes, I respect that. And I think he was already leaning towards needing to be no contact anyway, but I needed to make it clear that you can do what you want because you're your own person, but me and the children that I have with you cannot be exposed to that kind of toxic energy in that toxic environment. For some of the people asking about a boundary, I made that firm before we got married, and that has stuck true. And obviously, after we got married, before we got pregnant, we went completely no contact with them, and how she has behaved and talked about our daughter, my husband would never, ever, 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 ever suggest or want to bring our children around her or his family. But back to the story, we found out we were pregnant with our daughter in November of 2023, and it was super special. It was a super happy moment. We had always talked about growing a family and wanting children and wanting lots of them, so it was just a really special moment. And we kept that to ourselves for a while, and then eventually, obviously, told my family and our close friends and whatnot. But we were waiting till around like the 16-week mark to, you know, share on social media and share with other people, because, you know, in the early stages, like, anything can really happen. I mean, honestly, in the whole pregnancy, anything can, but we kind of wanted to get to that, like, quote-unquote safe mark before we shared. And me and my husband had decided that we would text them in a group chat message, if the mom, the stepdad, and the Mexican brothers, and let them know that we were pregnant. At this time, I did not have his mother on social media. I either had her either unfriended or blocked because my stuff was all private then, but my husband did still have her on social media at this time, so he knew if we posted it, she would see it, and we didn't want to start more drama. We wanted to be respectful and at least tell her, which honestly, I don't even think they really deserved that, and we didn't owe that to them, but we had always tried to be the bigger person in these situations. And at this point, my husband was still trying to hold hope for her, that since we had been no contact and made those boundaries for a couple months, that maybe she would at some point send him a text and apologize or acknowledge what she had done or how she had treated us. In my head, I knew she never would because I've studied psychology. I know how a narcissist's brain works. But he's a more optimistic kind of person, so he kind of wanted to leave that door cracked. So he hadn't had her blocked on anything. We just never went over there, and we did not talk or communicate with her in any manner. So my husband sent a text in this group message, and it just said, hey, I hope you all are doing well. We just wanted to let you know that we're expecting a baby in August, and everything is going well with his checkups. And then ended it with, I love you guys. One of his brothers responded and was nice and said, like, oh my gosh, congrats. The other two brothers didn't say anything. But his mom almost immediately texted back and was very upset. He was very upset that it was a text announcement and that we didn't come to them in person and tell them, and claimed that they didn't ask to be treated this way, trying to say that we were treating her poorly by only telling her over text, which is really ironic because the only reason why we're in this spot to begin with is because of how she has treated us poorly. And then of course ended the text message with some like manipulation, like, Donovan, how could you let this happen? None of us wanted this, like, you made it this way, you know, same old kind of stuff. So we didn't respond to that message at all, because beforehand we had discussed that we would send this to be respectful and to be mature about the situation, but we weren't going to engage. She ended up sending each of us a separate text message saying congrats. She sent Donovan a message that said, like, congrats, like, a baby is such a blessing. She texted me almost an identical message, but she added at the end, happy for you and my son. And the only reason why this irritates me a little bit is because throughout our whole relationship, she would never ever acknowledge us as a couple, as two people together. It was always her and my son, you and my son. Even when we were engaged, even when we were married, mind you, we're already married at this point, and she would never refer to us as you guys, or do you guys want to come over, or do you want to do this, or do you guys, or blah, 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 blah. It was always when she was speaking to me, she had to make the point of calling him her son. Not your husband or you guys or anything to, you know, about us as a couple. When my mom talks to Donovan, she doesn't text Donovan and say, hey, do you and my daughter want to have dinner tomorrow night? No, she says, hey, do you guys want to have dinner with us? We'd love to see you. But his mom was not like that. It was always you and my son, or my son this, my son. It almost like possessive over him. It would never acknowledge that we were like a unit, we were a team. And that might not seem like a big deal to some people, but that's just like tiny little things that people like this like to do, to not only jab at you, but to be possessive and be controlling over this person, trying to make it seem like they are their person, when in reality they are their own person and they can make their own choices. So we responded to this message that she sent separately, but we responded at the exact same time saying the same thing, just simply thank you. So after she knew we were pregnant, she went crazy. The only text that we responded to was the two separate ones, and all we said was thank you. We didn't respond to the group chat one. She was going crazy, not knowing any information, not knowing anything, was upset that we were together and pregnant anyway. And the day following us sending this text, I'm at work and I get either text or a call from my husband, and he's like, I'm literally about to lose it. She will not stop calling me. It's not just like over the span of a couple hours she called like 2 or 3 times. No, she was calling over and over and over and over and over and over and over. I do remember now that it was a call because as he was talking to me, he was literally like, I'm gonna lose it. I'm literally having to hang up her phone call coming in so I can still talk to you. And this went on for a long period of time. And to me, that is just like psycho behavior. Like if somebody doesn't answer once, then I might call back a second time, like somewhat soon. But to call over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. And I think at one point he even texted her and he said, I can't talk, I'm at work. And she continued to call. When he did not answer her calls, when he did not text her or try to communicate with her in any way, she then had the stepdad send him a very, very nasty long text message. But what's interesting about this text message is that the verbiage and the way that things are written sounds very familiar to how the mother speaks. So it was always a big question mark on, did the stepdad actually write this and send it, or did his mom write this and send it through his phone, hoping that Donovan would listen to the stepdad
which was bogus because, like I said, they didn't have a relationship like this. In the text message was just a lot of the same stuff that I talked about in the last part, where he was just saying, how could you do this to your mother, basically calling Don an awful person, how are you going to be a father if you can't even be a good son, and like all of this kind of mean, manipulative stuff to him, just saying how they deserve to be told in person and they deserve to know all the details and all the ins and the outs, and basically it was just a huge paragraph of how awful Donovan is and how they deserve better treatment, which is just insane. But obviously Donovan never responded to that text message. I think honestly at that point in time he blocked the stepdad because it was just so out of pocket. There was like no real coming back from that. Then after Donovan wasn't responding to any of this stuff, his mom tried to text me again and say, hey there, when is your actual due date? As if I would literally tell her anything or respond to her. And I know how you were just going psycho on my husband the day before. So obviously I did not respond to this text message. We did not want them knowing anything about anything related to the baby. I was like terrified that she would somehow, some way figure out like what hospital I was at or something and show up to like where we were. Like it was just so scary for me. When we first got married, we were in an apartment together and they didn't know where that was, but thank God the way that everything like worked out, we actually bought a home a few months before I had my daughter and they have no clue where we live. They don't know where our house is. So that is a huge blessing because I was nervous when I first got pregnant. Like if we're still at the apartment, like she's probably gonna show up. That was just a scary thought. That's kind of all for February. So let's fast track to June of 2024. Baby shower when I was 30 weeks old. We had it at the house and was going to invite some of his brothers. None of them seemed interested besides one of them, but ultimately we decided to not invite him and try to just have like a dinner or something separately to celebrate because we did not want them having our address and it made me really anxious. I did not want that, and my husband also did not want them to have our address, and we had the baby shower at our house. So if we were to invite the brother, then I would have had to give him our address. So the baby shower was obviously mostly my family and then like our joint friends because it was co-ed. So it would have been kind of awkward for his brothers to be there, especially because most people there knew how they treated us and that we weren't speaking to his family really. So it just kind of worked out better to where we wanted. When we asked him to hang out a different time and like get dinner and like celebrate that way, that never happened. But after our baby shower, a couple of days later, we posted some photos on Facebook. And remember I told you I wasn't friends with his mom on Facebook, but Donovan still was. And I don't know why he still was at this point because I was kind of encouraging him to unfriend her on there because every single day he was getting upset and hurt because she would post these crazy memes and like quotes on her page that are very obviously about us. So he was always hurt seeing these stupid little quotes and memes that she was posting all the time. But he was already kind of leaning to unfriending her and blocking her on there. But he ended up doing it because we posted photos and I tagged Donovan in them, not thinking that she would be able to see those because I tagged like all my friends that had came. And his mother almost immediately commented on my post saying something nasty about how none of his family knew, we weren't invited, like something along the lines of that. And I was so annoyed because she just loves to play the victim, not acknowledge any of the ways that she has treated us. Had she been a decent human and was just nice and kind to me, even on a surface level, like we didn't need to have a deep relationship, she could have been at these things and she could have been involved. She's not that kind of person. I call my husband and before I can even say a word, he's like, I know, I'm so sorry, I just blocked her on Facebook, I shouldn't have left that door open, like I'm sorry you had to see that nasty comment. And that was kind of the end of that. Like I didn't have to say anything. He already knew why I was calling. I wasn't calling him to tell him to block her, but I was calling him to be like, dude, enough is enough. Something's got to give here with these other forms that she can still do something with. But fast forward again to August when I have my baby. I think it was about a week after we had her that my husband sent in his group chat with his brothers a photo of her with her name, just saying like, she's here, you guys are uncles now. And he was still in contact with his brothers. I've been getting this question a lot too. He was still in contact with his brothers, but they had like an Instagram group chat where they like shared memes and that was it. There was never real conversations. They never tried to like hang out with him. They never asked about anything related to the baby. And they never met her. Like I would have let that happen, like meeting at dinner somewhere and maybe letting them meet her, but they weren't interested. Since Donovan told his brothers, the mom obviously found out that way. And once again, instead of letting this situation be something to bring her into the light and be like, wow, I really need to acknowledge how I treated them because I do want to be involved and I want to be a grandma and I want to be better to my son and the woman that he's married with, she used this as a way to trash talk our baby. And she was so tiny. So imagine a photo of our little baby. She only weighed 5 pounds. And imagine this woman looking at the photo of her and hearing her name, making fun of her name, saying that it was ugly. And by the way, her name is Aviana. And his mother was making fun of her name, calling it ugly, and saying that I was so self-centered because I only named her that because it sounded like my name, and that was so self-centered of me. But what's funny about this is that my husband found this name and came up with it. I had a whole list of boy names that I liked. I literally didn't have any girl names. And he found this, he loved it, he fell in love with it. I really liked it, I thought it was pretty. So that's what we went with. It had nothing to do with sounding like my name or anything. Her name is Aviana, mine is Savannah. Other than like ending with like I guess, like they're not even really that similar. Like they both have 2 N's, but like sound completely different. Like hers seems a little bit more Hispanic. Mine is clearly not. But these were the first things that they were saying about her. That her name was ugly, that it sounded just like mine, and that makes me so self-centered, and that I'm going to be an awful mom. They're saying that my baby is a lost cause because I'm going to brainwash her to be just like me. Honestly, I hope she has some of my traits. I hope she stands up for things that she believes in. I hope she's confident in herself. I hope she can love people through their flaws. Also have a backbone where she can make boundaries and keep herself mentally, emotionally, and physically safe. And it's just sickening to hear somebody talk about a literal baby like that. And they still talk about her to this day. There have been people that have reached out to me that were with the brothers at some point and never believed anything she said about me because everything was contradicting. She lied about stuff. And so she had reached out to me after they broke up. And that's how I know that still to this day, as of recently, that they still talk about my daughter in this way and talk about how horrible of people me and my husband are. I don't know about you, but me, It is disgusting to talk about a child in any way like that. And I'm especially sensitive about it because it is my own daughter. Talk about me however you want. Talk about Donovan however you want. But to talk about a literal baby who has nothing to do with anything and is the most innocent, precious thing, to talk about her in that manner is just sickening to me and honestly unforgivable. Part 5, I think I've actually convinced him to do part 5 with me so you can hear some of his story, because I know a lot of you are asking, like, how did he deal with this? How did he, like, get through this? So I think he's going to join you for part 5, which I think will probably be the last. And we can go over, like, some of the boundaries and stuff and answer some of the questions from part 3, like I mentioned last time. It feels so good knowing that so many women are feeling heard and seen. Honestly, I'm feeling more seen and more heard now than I ever had from reading these comments and seeing all the women messaging me and how we can relate on this. But I hope you have a blessed rest of your day, and I will see you guys later. Bye.
Let's finish this conversation another time. I have your competition on the phone.
Last week, I had 6 followers on TikTok when I posted a video of my now ex-boyfriend wheezing on the floor of my bathroom, having a medical emergency, and because he got caught cheating. And this is the story time, so we're gonna get into it finally. Please forgive the delay. Yes, I removed the videos partially. There were legal threats and everything, but the main reason was because I never had intentions of this getting 52 million views in 5 days. And at the same time that 52 million people saw this grown man embarrass himself on the ground, they also saw me get cheated on in my face. So I just want to move on from it and heal and enjoy my amazing life that I have without him. So, but here's the story time. Long awaited. Sorry it took me so long. I have my notes ready to give you guys the tea. I've never done this before, so I'm just gonna tell you guys as if it's my mom or my friend, and watch if you want, don't if you don't. This is what happened. So the story really starts before I even started dating my ex-boyfriend. 6 to 8 to 12 months, I don't know exactly when, before I started dating my ex, I went to dinner with a guy, and let's just call him Greg, one night. We had dinner, nothing ever happened between me and Greg, we never even kissed, but that's just important for you guys to know because we're gonna circle back to Greg in the story later on. So fast forward, I meet this guy who is now my ex-boyfriend, the one that you guys saw in the video. And for the first months of us knowing each other, I liked him since the beginning, but he would only see me maybe once a month. It didn't seem like he was trying to court me, so I didn't take things too seriously. I liked him, but he didn't seem like he was trying to be intentional at all, so no big deal. But after like 4 to 6 months of that, something changed in our relationship when we started to hang out like every single day. When I'm telling you guys, like 6 nights a week, maybe more. We were together all the time, and I really liked him, so I was happy at the beginning. But we both talked about, taking things slow because we're both adults and we're not just gonna jump into a relationship. We're gonna be thoughtful and intentional about getting to know each other to find out if we're compatible for a potential long-term future. So why did I even like him in the first place? Well, one, he was tall. He was tall with an ugly face, let's be honest. But his energy and the way he presented himself is the reason I even liked him in the first place, okay? So he presented himself as a very successful, very mature, very high value man who had good values, who was family oriented, and he kind of was always looking down on other people, like talking shit about other people and on a little bit of a high horse, but he was confident and quiet. So he had good energy that came across, and he was tall and successful, so it seemed. And I originally liked him because of those reasons. So some of the red flags as our relationship started to move forward and progress is that he would become progressively more controlling. So in the beginning, it would be little jokes and stuff about what I'm wearing, but by the end of our relationship, I had to ask this man for every single drink that I drank. Mind you, I'm a grown adult. I had to get his permission for every drink. I wasn't really going out with any of my friends anymore, so I was basically a prisoner, and we would stay home almost every night. Like, him and I didn't go out that much. There's also things like he made me delete my bikini pictures on Instagram, and he had my location, but I didn't have his. These are all things that I normally wouldn't be cool with, but he created this dynamic where it was like, I respect him and I do what he says, and I want to make my partner happy. So, you know, if you don't want me to have bikini pictures on Instagram, I understand why, because I look good, so I'll take them down. Oh, this is weird. So I don't ever look at a man's phone. I don't want to know what's on a man's phone, but one day I noticed that the messages on his phone were locked. Like, you had a second passcode lock to get into your messages. And I was like, why? And his explanation for this was, oh, my friend has a baby, and I saw that my friend has his messages locked, so I thought it was a good idea. And I was like, but do you have a baby who plays on your phone? Why do you need a lock on your messages just because your friend has a toddler? Stupid excuse, right? But I'm not Nancy Drew, so I'm not looking for things. I assume that you're an adult and I'm an adult, and the way he presented himself was like he's high value standards, like morally sound. And so anytime I would bring things up, this is a red flag, he would twist them on me, start to, you know, get mad at me. Somehow, if I said how I felt, somehow he'd be yelling at me. And I'll give you guys an example. Valentine's Day. Should be an easy holiday to celebrate, you know, but he lives in 2 cities. So most of the time he's in my city, 70% of the time, but 30% of the time he goes to another city. And he was in that other city, but I got a bouquet of flowers delivered to my door. So I was very happy. They were very beautiful. I sent him a picture of the flowers and the notes that the flowers had. And he was like, that's weird. Like, those flowers are not for you. You have another bouquet on the way. I sent those flowers for your 2 best friends. Huh? So I was like, say psych right now. Like, why on Valentine's Day would you send me flowers and also send my 2 hot best friends flowers? But instead of just telling me why, he didn't respond all night and into the next day. So what am I doing? Sitting in misery, wondering, why did this man send my best friend flowers? Like, why did you do that? Why couldn't you just send me flowers? The next day, finally, he tells me, he's yelling at me, and he's like, you know what, Marissa? I went out of the office, I went to the front of the office, and I went out of my way to place the order for the flowers because I was trying to do something nice for you, and the website crashed. I got the order that said it didn't go through, so I placed another order, but then I found out that the first order went through, so I was trying to be nice and do something nice for your friends because I know they're single. And I was like, why are you yelling at me? Also, any man, if you accidentally send 2 bouquets of flowers, just send them to your girlfriend. Like, why wouldn't you just send 2 and be like, sorry, I placed 2 orders? It's as simple as that, but instead I was getting yelled at. Okay, so throughout the course of our relationship, he was controlling. I didn't really say much. I wasn't looking around, so I kept my feelings to myself. So we generally had a pretty stable relationship. This lasted for less than a year, by the way, but we were seeing each other every night, essentially. And so I do want to tell you guys another story about the way this man was controlling. We went to a music festival with a ton of people, a very large festival. And 2 journalists came up to our group that we were with, the friends, and they started introducing themselves, and they said, hey, we are journalists here. We are doing a fashion column. And then they looked at me in the group and they said, we really love your fashion. I was like, thanks. Anyways, they asked me to take a photo, and of course I said yes. So they have this big camera, and I take some photos. And as I'm taking the photos, I look over to my boyfriend, and he is giving me the death stare. He is looking at me like he hates me. And I'm like, and then they start to interview me and they start to ask me questions about where did I get my inspiration. And he grabs my arm and pulls me and he's like, we're leaving. And we stomp back to where we were staying in silence, and he's livid. I'm sorry, you guys, I have to do a part 2. I promise it's just going to be the 2 parts, but I want to tell you guys the stories, and so sorry.